Hello, my Bill 1000 Nation. How's everyone doing today? Hopefully, everyone's having a great day. If not, oh, excuse me. I hope it gets better from here. Oh, excuse me. Hold on. Hold on one moment. There we go. All right. We are back with another That Chapter. Oh my God. Trying to get sick. I'm not trying. You know what I mean. And it's probably just like a little cold. It's nose and throat. All right, we are back with another That Chapter. This one is titled, Mom Realizes Police Discovered Her Disturbing Stuff. They found what she kept in the nightstand next to the bed, and they was all blushing. Mom realizes police discovered her disturbing buried secret. Laurie Shaver. All right. That's a lot. That's a lot. I'm excited. I'm ready to get into today's story. You know how we feel about that chapter up in here. It's fun for the whole family sometimes. Let's go ahead and get into today's video. Go ahead, turn them lights down low, put on something comfy, couple something special. Let's get disturbed. It's in the title, right? Yeah, disturbing. Let's get disturbed. Fuck yeah, that worked. Oh.
Hey you, and welcome. My name is Mike, and in this solo video, I'm going to tell you a story that went on for quite a long time, but it only ended recently, if you can believe that, and it went from this...
asking for your assistance to help prove my innocence in this case.
...to this.
I don't know what's true or what's not anymore.
And it's set in Florida because, of course it is.
Yeah, of course. Fucking Florida.
In Lake County, Florida, a stomping ground of ours at this point, there lived the Shavers.
It gets as much shit as Ohio does, don't it?
Happy? You betcha. Soon to be not? Ditto. This is one of those stories.
But I'm all about trashing any other state as long as they ain't Ohio. Well, we get enough bullshit.
Stories where there was an incident with a lot of precedent, but nobody knew until like much later. But before we get into it, please subscribe to see new videos every single week. Now, this is a wild one and full of characters, so let's give it a go.
Oh, let's give it a go, Mike. Laurie Shaver. Shaver, I barely know her.
So let's begin with the good times before we get to the bad. In Lawrence, New York, our story begins. A tiny little town right smack dab in the middle of the state of New York, and also right smack dab in the middle of nowhere. Less than 3,000 people live there, and two of those 3,000, as we pop into our time machine and go back 20 years, were Michael Shaver and his childhood sweetheart, Laurie Paddleford. Class of 2001, Lawrence Central High School represent. They started dating in 7th grade, and from there, they were smitten.
The hair.
Though it may have just
can't say
been
much,
from a
ain't
lack of
got none,
options
but
too. There were
at least it
30
didn't look
people
like
in their
that.
class. So Mike and Laurie getting together, and then in June 2005, put a ring on it. What don't ya? Out of school, Michael would get a job as a commercial pilot, flying in and around the place, having a grand old time. And Mike and Laurie would have a number of children. That number being, well, two. A girl in 2008 and a boy in 2011. And life for them, pretty decent. That this whole happy little family thing going on, you know, they'd be in New York, hanging out with family and friends, and then they would also go down to Florida a lot, as that's where they worked. That's where the work was. See, Mike, he loved flying. Absolutely mad for it. I mean, I suppose you kind of have to love flying, because it's quite difficult to get into. But you know what, here's something for you. What he really loved, and you'll never guess this, or maybe you will, I can't read your mind, was Walt Disney's desiccated frozen brain. Or rather, the ideas that came from it. The corporate version of those ideas, at least. Yes, Disney World. Mike Shaver and Disney World Orlando. Like that. Specifically, the rides. Mike Shaver wanted to be the guy who was, gonna make sure you were final destinationing on Space Mountain. He would be tinkering away, loosening the nuts and bolts, and okay, he was probably tightening them, but it would be more interesting if he wasn't. And so the Shavers and their children moved into a home in Claremont, Lake County. Again, not terribly big, around 40,000 people live there, and it's really centered around tourism. For the same reason, Michael and his family moved there, 40 minutes from Disney World.
Hell yeah.
Michael and Laurie, they had friends, they had a life at 9850 Sandy Pines Road, on the quieter side of town. Their relationship
Got the
wasn't
yawns.
perfect. They had split up at one point, then reconciled. But they kept it private. They kept it tight.
Cool. Most people nowadays, they put the
And all
problems
that
on
kind of
everyone.
sorta brings us to the inciting incident of the entire case. Or, let me pump the brakes. The rather lack of an inciting incident. It was on the 16th of February 2018 that a friend of Michael's, an old friend from back up in New York, well, he made contact with the Lake County Sheriff's Office and asked them to perform a wellness check on his old buddy Mike Shaver. No one had seen him. In fact, come February 2018, no one had seen Mike Shaver in over 2 years. Let's get into it.
Shit.
See, 36-year-old Michael Shaver vanished in 2015. He hadn't been seen by anybody other than his wife, then 32-year-old Laurie Shaver, or the couple's young children since November 8. 3 days after that,
That's shady.
November 11th, Mike had texted his employer to quit his job with immediate effect. Mike's boss said this was completely out of the blue and that Mike was an otherwise exemplary employee who was never late or a no-show. The sudden resignation came out of nowhere. According to this comment on Facebook by his boss, "I quit. Don't contact me. You can keep my tools." Laurie was telling friends and
That's
family that
weird.
Michael had ran off with another woman and had gone to start his life anew, out of state. Over the years, his Facebook would update occasionally, but no one actually heard from him, like physically. It wasn't until more than 2 years later that a close friend of Michael's, who hadn't heard from him in so long, who had been suspicious this entire time, really reached boiling point and was like, "I'm going to call the cops down there. They need to have a goo. They need to find him." He also told police that Michael's Facebook page had remained active, but that he strongly suspected it wasn't Michael who was running it. Rather, Laurie was using the account. On one suspicious
shifty
occasion,
bitch.
a photo of Mike fishing was posted to his Facebook page back in March of 2017, but a friend would later state that photo had been taken 2 years earlier. Soon after the missing persons report on February 16th, 2018, the sheriff's office, deputies
How do
went
you
out
know? I
to
was
the Shaver
there.
home.
I'm the one
and,
that took the
just
picture.
"How's Mike?" Laurie was unsurprised. "Oh, hey, good to see you." "Come on in, have a look around. Make yourself. Do you want a coffee? Tea? Coffee?" She even allowed them to freely search, knock yourselves out, search around the place, sleep around. But when they got to the backyard, her demeanor kind of changed. When deputies noticed a seemingly newly constructed concrete fire pit, something clicked, and one of the deputies made a point to ask Laurie if she minded them bringing in a cadaver dog, just to clear things up. As soon as the officers had approached the fire pit, Laurie had been on edge, but the dog being mentioned pushed her over that edge. Suddenly she was, "Poof, poof. You must be joking. Get the hell out of my house." No longer the gracious host. The deputies noticed and they said, "Yeah, well, fine," but it's that bell done wrong.
Today we're learning more information about
Right.
Michael Shaver, who deputies say has been
Now
missing
they
since
have, was it
2015.
probable cause?
Investigators say no one ever reported him missing. That was until 2
That's
weeks
your
ago
shady
when a
ass
man
face,
contacted the
bruh.
sheriff's office
Lady,
and asked
ma'am,
them to go check
sir,
on his friend
you.
Michael because he hasn't talked to him in a while. Deputies then went to Shaver's Claremont home and talked with his wife Laurie about his disappearance. We tried to ask Laurie Shaver about the investigation into your missing husband.
I have an attorney.
Just under 3 weeks on from their first visit at 9850 Sandy Pines Road, the deputies returned to the Shaver residence, but this time they had Officer Goodboy and a search warrant.
Officer Good
Very
Boy.
soon after, the deputies
He's a
brought
good
in an
boy.
excavation team who dug up the concrete fire pit. Buried just 3 feet beneath the concrete slab were the remains of Michael Shaver. No one had seen him in over 2 years. The Facebook was still active, but he'd been under the fire pit the entire time.
The entire time.
An autopsy revealed that Michael had
Ain't
been
that
killed
some
by a
shit?
single gunshot wound, a 38 caliber slug to the back of the head.
God.
Laurie just so happened to keep a pink 38 caliber gun on her nightstand.
Deputies say those remains are of Michael Shaver. Shaver was reported missing this past February, but he had not been seen since 2015. Investigators searched Shaver and his
Man, anybody ever watched the TV show Bones? It's a good little TV show. It's been off the air for a while. It ended pretty good. It's a really good one. I'm just imagining all these people trying to get that body out of the concrete and shit. Cause that's what Bones was about. They get bodies that no one else could identify, and they would identify them Just, through the bones. Through the bones. This is a good show. If you haven't given it a watch, give it a watch. It's pretty good.
His wife's Claremont home back in March. They did find human remains and clothing buried under concrete in the backyard. Shaver's wife is a person of interest in this case.
We are done out here, and you guys are welcome to come back anytime.
Okay.
If you have a second, I would like to just run over this list of items real quick with you over the phone and let you know the items that we take.
Okay, absolutely.
Flash drive, a photograph, miscellaneous paperwork, projectiles, and human skeletal remains. So as far as all of that stuff goes, do you have any questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do I need to sign any of that paperwork, or it's just at the property?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
And we would still love to sit down with you if there's any way that we could make that happen.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Man, I'll
While
be
Laurie
arresting
was
this bitch.
insisting the whole time, Michael, he's alive and sure he's great. Don't be worrying about him. He's doing good. Well, the evidence and basically any sort of data would confirm nobody had seen him or talked.
Like, okay, I'm sorry. I would be arresting this bitch.
We would like to have a conversation with you one day, if you could find time in your busy schedule.
Bro, we just found your husband. We just found your husband's dead-ass body. His skeletal remains underneath your fire pit. You're under arrest. I'm sorry. That's what the detective should have been saying was, ma'am, look, we just found a body in your backyard. You didn't want us there. Like, you shady as shit. I am arresting you. I don't give a fuck. If someone find a dead body on my property, it could be before I even bought my property, and I'm going to be arrested. I'm going to be taken in for questioning, bruh. Why is this lady not being taken in for questioning, bruh? I'd take her in and throw the book at her. Any book. The biggest book we fucking had.
To him since late 2015, including Laurie. In fact, her own cell phone data would show that she hadn't contacted Mike, her husband, since the 15th of November 2015. And Laurie was still, sticking with the story. He abandoned us. He ran away with some mystery woman to start his life again, and then he turns up he was right in my backyard the whole time. So, despite her alleged belief that he had abandoned herself, and remember their 2 young kids, she never once filed for child support, tried to secure custody rights, nothing of that, which you think she would do if he, abandoned her and the kids. Nor had she even filed for divorce. She had, however, begun to sell off dollar bills, Mike's, his guns, his expensive tools, all of his stuff. And after Michael went missing, didn't Laurie get into a couple of relationships with a couple of men? She didn't waste any time, and Laurie, you will see, is a wild card. I can't wait till we get to her testimony. For example, one of the people she got into a relationship with was a Jeremy Townsend. And, they started kind of fooling around, that sort of thing. To Jeremy, this was
pretty hair.
Friends with benefits, no strings attached kind of deal. To Laurie, this was... You kidding? She's getting the white dress out of the closet already.
It was about a year ago that we watched as heavy machinery was used to dig up a fire pit in the backyard of Laurie Shaver's Claremont home.
I'm on the phone with my attorney right now, and I'm not making a statement.
Do you have anything to say about your husband's remains being found?
Comment. You may contact my attorney.
Laurie's story about where Michael had gone after he'd allegedly abandoned his family differed depending on who she was talking to. She told some people Michael had gone back home to, upstate New York. She told other people he had gone to California. She would tell other people, oh, he's still around here, and he's stalking me. Mike won't leave me alone. He's a psychopath. Nearly everybody had heard some kind of version of the story, whatever kind of shite she would come out with.
Can't keep her lies straight,
every
bro.
version of the story had inconsistencies, and people would, talk. She told me this, what'd she tell you? But they did know now that Michael was dead and his skeletal remains had been in the backyard the entire time. When he was killed, sort of up for debate, but it's believed in when he was last seen, early November 2015. That all-important fire pit where Michael was found wasn't built until March 2016, with the concrete being poured the following September. So he would have been laying in a shallow grave for quite some time. Of course, a shallow grave Laurie knew nothing about. Even though, depending on what day of the week it was, she would have a different story.
Man, you should always keep your lies straight.
Can I shock you? Laurie and her eyebrows were finally arrested on September 17th, 2020, and she was charged with the
Derpy
second-degree
fucktard.
murder of Mike Shaver, along with 2 separate charges, one for domestic violence and a second for being an accessory after the fact. In response to the 3 charges, Laurie entered a not guilty plea and was able to post bail, which had been set at $50,000.
Good morning, I'm Jeffrey Weggs. I'm an attorney, a criminal attorney here in Lake County, Florida. Sitting to my left is Laurie, a client of mine. Laurie, regrettably, is charged with the most onerous crime that any individual could be faced with in their lifetime. Laurie is charged with the crime of murder.
Being a shit.
This incident stemmed from a relationship, having been married to her first husband, Michael.
It was then she posted this video to YouTube along with this message. Listen up, folks, this is gas. My name is Laurie Filmer. She got married again. Previously known as Laurie Shaver, blah blah blah. I am absolutely innocent of these charges. I strongly suspect that I have been targeted for political reasons. The foremost is police apathy. Police planting her husband's dead body in her own backyard without her noticing. Classic. There is no forensic evidence, no DNA, no ballistics or objective evidence that implicates me in this horrific crime. There are only suspicions as I was closest to the body. We are in need of a minimum of $50,000. Please help! Respectively taking a stand against injustice, in love, Laurie L. Filmer. $50,000. That's what she was asking. She helpfully links her PayPal in the description, folks. You know, knock yourselves out. Might not do her much good now. But yeah, how much of that do you think she got? I mean, it's not public how much people actually sent her money, but I'm genuinely curious if she got even a single dollar.
Oh, you
I'm
know
coming
she did.
before you guys
People are
today
stupid, bro.
just to let you know that we have our suspicions, but I don't know why I've been targeted.
Look, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. There's people in this world that the truth can literally be smacking them in the face and they still won't believe it. You know what I mean? I say she got the money. I say she probably got more than that amount of money. And I say her little bitch ass bought her those boobs with it.
Why I've been set up or charged with this heinous crime. Anybody that knows me knows that my life is my children. There's
Should buy
people out
better
there
eyebrows.
that are trying to paint this picture of me, but that's
As
not me.
a 2-cent home reckoning.
I'm loving, I'm caring, I have a servitude heart.
She loves you until she kills you, and she cares about herself. Bro, like, I don't care what you say. I am going to belittle you every step of the way. You're a murderer. I don't even know if you have kids. I don't remember if they said that, but if you do, you ruined your life, your children's life, and you took a life. You're trash. Whether I don't even give a fuck if you're innocent or not. Right now, to me, you's trash. If you are proven innocent in the court of law, I will be the first one to say, fuck you, I still think you're trash. Have a great day.
I don't judge people. I accept
Look at that
all,
boat. Look at that
and I
boat.
always try to see the good in everybody.
Mm-hmm. The good dollar
And right
bill,
now,
y'all.
I am up against something that I would have never imagined possible.
Dick.
And so today, I'm coming to you. My family and I are begging you, asking for your assistance to help prove my innocence in this case.
Why do you keep looking away?
I am not
why
guilty.
Why are you trying to
I
make
had
yourself
nothing
cry?
to do with the murder of Michael Shaver.
You did.
Nor
If you
did I
did,
have
then
any
you had one of
knowledge
them little
of his
pud whackers
body
that you was fucking
being
doing.
buried underwear. We were building a
Underwear.
gathering place, a conversational fire pit
Yeah,
area
you
for
wanted
our
to go
family and friends.
and take every
Without
boyfriend
you,
that you
we
had
don't have the
after
financial
you
means
murdered him to that
to
place
pay
and
for
just
my
gloat
attorney's
above him.
fees.
Like, no matter
But
what
I
you
can tell
say,
you
I am
that
going
I
to
am
just
not guilty. I
contradict
had
it.
nothing to do with the
You
murder
are guilty. You
of
murdered
Michael
him.
Shaver.
Yeah, I believe you
Nor
did.
did I have any knowledge of his body being buried underwear.
Oh, of course
we were
not.
building a
It was just there for almost a
gathering
whole
place, a
year before you even
conversational
built this
fire pit
motherfucker.
area for our family and friends to spend time together at.
Hey, your
We're
family
asking that you reach
definitely
in your
gonna be there all the
pocket,
time,
do what
huh?
you can and help us through this. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you a slick motherfucker. Mr. Esquire. I still don't know what that even means. Now I'm
Damn,
almost
girl.
40 years old.
Slay Queen. Thanks to the various legal tactics and the occasional worldwide pandemic, Laurie's trial took another 4 years after her initial arrest
Jesus
to finally reach
Christ.
the courtroom and see her face a jury. The defense certainly did
What
their
the fuck
part in
is wrong with
stalling the
this shit?
inevitable. Sometime early in 2023, Laurie's defense counsel informed the judge in charge of the trial that he intended to use the testimony of Michael and Laurie's daughter to prove his client's innocence and her daughter's guilt. You see, according to Laurie and her team, Laurie's daughter,
Batman, the brave and the
Isabel,
bold.
had, completely unprompted of course, spoken to her own attorneys and confessed that she killed Mike Shaver. It wasn't Laurie, it was her daughter, who was 7 years old at the time.
It's a potential big development in the case of a Lake County woman accused of killing her husband. Attorneys for Laurie Shaver filing a motion saying a 14-year-old girl has confessed to killing Michael Shaver. A request to have the girl evaluated has already been denied, and the defense is asking the judge to reconsider. The girl would have been just 7 years old when Michael Shaver was last seen alive in 2015.
Holy shit, that's unbelievable. Like, quite literally, it's quite literally
Unbelievable. Got
Her
38.
trial began in September 2024,
A 7-year-old.
my friends.
Bro, I've shot
The
a
defense
38. They
painted
got a
a
little
dark
bit of a
picture
kick
of
to
the
them.
couple's relationship, with domestic violence being an almost daily occurrence, and
I
Michael
don't see a
very much
7-year-old
being
being
the
able
aggressor.
to point blank shoot a
Court records from a year
motherfucker
before
in the back of
his
the
death
head.
showed that Michael had indeed been charged with battery following a fight between the couple in September 2014. The circumstances of what actually led to those charges being filed in the first place are foggy to say the least. Both Laurie and Mike contended that the other was the aggressor, and they themselves were simply acting in self-defense.
What's going on? It was a domestic violence dispute. Okay, are you okay? I did hit my ex in the head with a gun and he had pulled out on me. I grabbed my gun because he has a gun and I have a gun side stairs. And now I'm on the way to the sheriff's office.
Simply a he said, she said domestic violence incident. What is for certain is though is that one of them had a gun and the other had to wrestle the gun off them. Though of course Laurie was saying Mike had the gun, Mike was saying Laurie had the gun, but it is funny that, well, we'll never know which version is true, but only one of those two people ended up being shot on the head.
Yeah.
So,
and she even said that she
whatever
hit him in the head
happened
with her
during
gun.
that incident, it was enough for Michael to want to leave the house, and he actually began sleeping in a hangar they had on Disney World property, like basically at his workplace. And in fact, he was gonna separate from Laurie and get Mike Shaver. He actually started dating a coworker. He sort of fell in love with somebody else, and apparently their relationship was great, very healthy, really, really nice. That was, of course, until Laurie found out about it. Laurie began to basically insert herself into this new relationship any way she could, and she was constantly calling up Disney HR, letting them get an earful about, you know what two of your coworkers are doing? You should know. Isn't it against regulations, Disney law? Who knows?
No.
Laurie caused so much trouble, eventually the couple went their separate ways, and this other woman that Mike had been seeing, she would say, yeah, we were actually really, really happy together. Laurie was the only reason we broke up. Laurie won. She won a battle only she was fighting, but regardless, Mike, battered spouse that he went back to Laurie, and he went back to the home. But the night he was killed, Laurie's story begins thusly. They had been in the house, the whole family, and another domestic breaks out. Here we go again. But during that incident, Isabel Shaver, their daughter, indeed shot Mike in the back of the head. Simply trying to protect Laurie, protect her mother.
What's Isabel do?
I'm calling bullshit, man.
Fired a gunshot?
Now, when Isabel fires this gunshot, do you see where it lodged into Michael or what?
I could not.
Where are you after Isabel fires the gun?
Still on the ground. And Michael.
Daughter under the bus you get. Now, Laurie's story was also that her boyfriend, Jeremy Townsend, he too was there. And that after, the daughter shot Mike in the back of the head, Jeremy took the gun off her and shot him again to make sure he's gone. So he actually killed Mike Shaver. He was also magically there at this time.
The next thing you recall?
The next thing I recall is seeing Jeremy, and hearing the gunshot at essentially the same time.
Is there much time that goes by between Isabel shooting the gun and Jay taking out Jeremy?
No. It felt like forever. I remember looking at her.
Had you gotten off the ground?
Gaining
No.
quite a bit of weight.
No, I had not. Michael was
Nervous
still sitting
eating?
in the chair.
There was also only one hole in Mike's head, so Jeremy must have had a really good shot to, make the bullet went through the exact same hole that the previous shot did.
Do you know anything about how your father died?
I do.
Could you tell the jury?
I grabbed her gun, and I shot him.
Mike and Laurie's now teenage daughter did appear as a witness for the defense, and she repeated hers and Laurie's claims that she had indeed been the one to shoot her father. According to her testimony, Mike had been kicking Laurie, who was already on the ground, and so the then 7-year-old went and retrieved Laurie's loaded handgun from her bedside table and fired one shot into
Anyone
her
else
father's
calling
head.
bullshit on all
Jeremy
this?
Townsend then finished him off and disposed of the body.
When Jeremy said, "I'll take care of this," did you have any reason to believe that that body was on your property?
No, never. There's no way he could have. I wasn't gone
Lying
that long
bitch.
where he could have. Finding out the dimension? No. Mm-mm.
Jeremy himself, of course, would testify and say this is
Bullshit.
this is completely made up.
At any point did you shoot or injure Michael Shaver?
No.
At any point were you involved with disposing of the body of Michael Shaver?
No.
The state also pointed out that the daughter's story changed quite a few times since it was first, brought to light back in 2023. In fact, it's likely
Gotta
the
keep
only
making it
reason the
better.
daughter wasn't charged with perjury was because of her age. So the whole story, it's obviously complete bullshit. Laurie truly is the gift that just keeps giving.
And anybody that knows me knows that my life is my children.
Isabel?
Fired a gunshot?
So she likely gobbled this story, fed her daughter this entire story, was prepared to have her own child take the blame for her. And that's not even to mention all the weird shit she got up in town in the years after. Let's get into it. Besides impersonating her murdered husband on Facebook. Facebook messages weren't the extent of Laurie's impersonation of Mike after he was murdered, but she pretended he had RUNNOFT. The court heard from Jeremy Townsend's wife, he was still married while they were seeing each other, Vanessa. Vanessa told about receiving messages and then a bunch of flowers in 2016, complete with a card that read, "Roses are red, violets are blue. My wife is a whore and your husband is too. Check Facebook." That card appeared to have been signed by Mike Shaver. Investigators, of course, were able to track the payment of who had bought those flowers and sent them to Vanessa Townsend, and of course it was Laurie Shaver. It was her bank account that paid for them. Laurie continued to send messages as Mike Shaver to Vanessa Townsend, talking about the affair, claiming that he had installed spyware on Laurie's phone, sending Vanessa Townsend screenshots of all these lurid chats of, Laurie and Jeremy. It's mad. It's mad, isn't it? This is mad. This is Laurie pretending to be your husband, exposing her own affair. Seems that she wanted Jeremy all for herself, so she wanted Vanessa to find out about the affair and therefore, leave him or whatever. Jeremy himself would later end things because he would say Laurie was obsessive and controlling. That was mostly after Laurie got Jeremy's nickname Jay tattooed just above her. By December 2016, Laurie and old Jezza had gone their separate ways, and Laurie was not only seeing somebody else, but in December, she was already prepared to hold a commitment ceremony with her new partner, Travis Filmer, who she'd met at the gym. Travis helped Laurie to pour the concrete slab, though who knows if he knew what was down there, though allegedly she alluded to it. And the commitment ceremony? It took place in Laurie's backyard on December 31st, 2016, inches away from where she'd buried her husband. Laurie was revealed to have been controlling towards Travis. A friend would say he saw them fight once and she was the aggressor. Apparently she had been waving a gun around and was acting like a crazy person. A neighbor would say they'd seen Laurie and Mike fight all the time and Laurie was almost always the aggressor. One time the neighbor said she was in the house and Mike had, ran over to her, knocked on her door, "Oh, please let me in." And Mike would say, "Laurie has taken the kids away." He didn't know where they were, and he was panicking because she had said she was going to kill the entire family and then herself. Talk about a drama queen.
Right? This
After a
bitch,
trial
bro.
almost a decade in the making, it finally came down to the jury, taking only 4 hours to consider the verdict. Laurie Filmer was guilty of the murder of her
Fuck
husband.
yeah, she is.
Laurie was then sentenced in
This
November
bitch.
2024.
Does your client wish to address the court?
Do you need, what's that? No, she doesn't, Judge.
Is there anything further?
Nothing further from the defense.
Anything further from the state?
No, sir.
Please present your client for sentencing. Laurie Shaver Filmer, in case number 2020 CF 2361, having been found guilty by a jury of your peers of the offense of murder in the second degree, the court hereby sentences you to a term of life in the Florida Department of Corrections.
Yeah,
And there you have
bitch.
it. That is the
You're
twisting
gonna be getting
turning
it in your
story
boom
of
hole
Laurie
now,
Shaver, Laurie
motherfucker.
Filmer, Laurie Effer.
Piece of
What a
trash.
character, that's for sure. A definite psycho hose beast. And it seems that there was a lot of domestic abuse going on.
So
Though
itchy.
Mike was the victim, he just got in trouble for it, which is sad. See, old Laurie would fly off the handle, she would lose the plot, and she would just keep blaming Mike for her own actions. And she kept doing that till she finally killed him. I mean, he had even met somebody else and was like having a new relationship. And she was like, nope,
Live long and
you ain't
prosper.
going anywhere. So then when she finally killed him, she was like, damn, I used to blame Mike for all this kind of stuff, but he's dead. So who can I blame now? Ah, my own flesh and blood, my own child. She'll take the blame for me, and I'll get off scot-free. Who cares about her? Throwing your own daughter under the bus is the lowest of the low. Though those eyebrows are a close second.
Right. Fuck those eyebrows, man.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this.
Thank you so much for having me, Mike. I really did enjoy it. Like, that was really good. That was some shit. Like, holy fuck. This bitch is like straight up murking motherfuckers. Like, was that her kid with the dead dude? Or was that her kid from before the dead dude? Like, what the fuck, man? This is fucked up. Hey, she got what she deserved. Thank God for that. Hell yeah. Round of applause. Round of applause. Alright, really enjoyed today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video as much as I did. And if you did, please go down there, leave a thumbs up. It really does help the channel grow. While you're down there, if you want, go on over, slap that subscribe button, become part of the B5 Nation. We do some crazy stuff here. And if you want to know when that crazy stuff happens, ding that bell and turn on all notifications. As always, be good to one another. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Damn, Mike. That was fucked up, man. Like, we've heard some like husband and wife bullshit on this channel, but damn, that we didn't even get an insurance dance, bro. We got a hoo-ha dance.